essentially she got up the jumper cables and
Yeah. And she's like, remember, come on, you son of a bitch.
try now.
No?
Okay, let's go again. All right, try it now. No?
Nothing?
All right.
That's literally what happens here.
All right, try it now. Vroom, vroom. Hooray, you're Silverbolt.
Too much energy.
Is one of them a squid?
Cheetor, what have you done? Blah, 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 blah. Beast Wars once and for all.
It's like throw her into the compactor. Well, you don't need this anymore.
Why do you always talk to yourself?
I simply have a penchant for intelligent conversation.
Yeah,
Say Galavar! No! Say Galavar! No!
No, not that.
Welcome back, everybody, to Too Much Energon, the podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. I am one of your hosts, NeoCal.
And I am your other host, Christopher Siege.
Christopher Siege, Too Much Energon 59.
Episode 59 of Too Much Energon. That means we are one episode away from episode 60 of Too Much Energon. Can you fucking believe it?
No.
when we started this shit.
Nope.
Oh,
I
man.
cannot. I
Yeah.
cannot.
Yeah, almost 60 episodes of the podcast now. Craziness.
Keeps going forever.
Keep going and
You
going.
better believe it, brother.
What's going on? What's going on, Cal? What's been happening in the old satellite studio of Lasercomb HQ, if you will. And by that I mean Cal's house.
Yeah, it's very big. Maybe listeners of the show, all 5 of you, will notice that I'm less echoey, less verb. I just flat out moved my recording studio into the fucking giant ass living room. But then there's lighting problem. So
Yeah,
out of the fire pan and into the stove. I don't
2 steps forward
yeah.
and 1 step back. I'm
Video.
Sure YouTube's copyright cops will be like, copyright strike, you were singing a song.
How dare you?
You were singing a licensed song.
Believe it or not, this is the best video Christopher Siege and I could come up with after half an hour of fucking around. My webcam was haunted. Holy cow, is it bad. VHS flickering, and not like the cool, like purposeful digital editing way. And like wow, we can't watch 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah, it was he was pretty Blair Witch Project.
It was haunted. And that is going to change. Next time
for the purposes of this show, it's not a big deal because I see the views, I see the downloads. Lots of people download and listen to this show in audio format. Very few people watch it.
Oh, well then, good for me.
so I'm none too concerned about the.
Can you imagine following us for 60 episodes? No, 58 episodes, and this
15.
is the first
15. Well, oh yeah.
And this is the
first, yeah.
And this is the first video one they watch, and they're like, "What the fuck are these guys doing?" like, look at this guy's Commander Shepard, and the other guy's Hulk Hogan. Why?
One guy's wearing a Mass Effect hoodie with like Far Cry Blood Dragon background. The other guy is like wearing a wrestling shirt and a bandana and fucking 3D glasses for some reason. Who are these rotundos?
Helps you see the world better in 3D.
Yeah,
What does my hat say?
In all 3 I don't know.
Speaking
Alternate
of beast
future.
machines, Speaking of alternate futures,
Alternate futures. Today I was able to little off topic, but kind of related. It's relevant to Beast Wars and slash Beast Machines as a property. Today, Hasbro officially unveiled the War for Cybertron Terrorsaur figure.
goddamn right.
It's part of it's not part of the War for Cybertron Kingdom line. It's part of like some like Amazon exclusive War for Cybertron Golden Disc collection or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
The Amazon exclusive ones.
Yeah. It's like this Golden Disc collection. It's comprised of like 4 different figures. The first one was a 2-pack of a couple of Autobots. The second one was another 2-pack of a couple of Autobots. You can tell how interested I was. The third one revealed yesterday was a mutant version of Tigatron. And it's based on the... I actually looked into this. It's based on the original toy colors of Tigatron. Like the prototype version of Tigatron. Oh. So he's an orange tiger with more like the bits in the show that are green are more like teal. Or
if I had to Google this, what's the line called? Just
Golden Disc line? War for Cybertron Golden Disc Collection, I guess. And he has the mutant head that all of the deluxe mega and ultra class Beast Wars characters had in the first wave of Beast Wars toys.
Oh yeah. He's like a Bengal tiger.
Yeah. Was able to pre-order that guy. Pretty hyped about that. But yeah, today they finally unveiled my boy Terrorsaur. My boy Terrorsaur. This like Golden Disc collection too actually has like a storyline behind it, which I find kind of interesting. And apparently, if you buy like all of the figures in the set, you get like the completed story in like essentially liner notes of the packaging. But basically, the gist of the story is the quantum surge that happened at the beginning of season 2 of Beast Wars that turned all of the beast formers into transmetals also caused like rifts in time and space and like created like alternate realities and like yada yada. So like this like mutated version of Tigatron is from another reality that was created from the quantum surge that features all of the Maximals and Predacons dying except Tigatron, but Tigatron gets like mutated.
Hold up. Everyone dies except him?
In that alternate reality. And apparently with today they unveiled Terrorsaur, and apparently Terrorsaur also survived, and he is like trying to get into like the main timeline or whatever, and like mutated Tigatron is like his right-hand man. I know, right? That's kind of wild.
That is wild.
I actually hope they release a comic book.
Yeah, like a comic.
Yeah, a comic tying into this, because I'm intrigued. But so the reason why I found out about this today was I got DM'd by friend of this show and friend of some of our other shows, like our reboot podcast, Alphanumeric, currently on hiatus, but and our Shadow Raiders podcast, War Planet. Friend of all 3 of those shows, Cone Killer Confusor, DM'd me today while I was at work on Instagram and was like, hey man, here's a link to the Amazon listing for Terrorsaur. Like, pre-orders are going fast. And
my man.
I was able to snag one, so I just want to say me and him chatted for quite a while throughout the day, and yeah, I just want to say thanks, brother.
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah, I have my finger I they're still available, and I have my finger over the pre-order button.
Yeah, when I at this point with the War for Cybertron toys, like, well, they're not coming out until March, but by then, I'll pretty much have like the entire, like he'll pretty much round out the entire season 1 cast other than Tarantulas and Inferno, which means I can recreate. I can use my War for Cybertron Beast Wars toys to make a better version of season 2 and season 3 that doesn't deal with all of the Transmetal and Transmetal 2 nonsense.
You can make a stop motion.
I can make a stop motion.
You can make a stop motion like alternate timeline of season 2 and 3.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, we've been like kind of kicking around ideas, and I know I've talked about this on air, but we've been kicking around ideas of eventually like doing a like Beast Wars like role playing campaign. Those figures would be great props.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they make up the set or whatever, but like they'd be fine. People are probably, people are, they're a little big to be actual like grid pieces, but they can be representatives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can, well, because in that campaign, like they would be NPCs, so they can just be visual aid.
There you go. Yeah.
A visual aid for the NPC that's talking.
It's like how you use a table lamp for the Tarrasque in D&D. There is a Tarrasque figure, but it's like the size of a football, and it's like $400. It's like the biggest, most giant, unkillable monster in Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, I was gonna say, let's pretend for a moment that the listeners out there have no idea what you're talking about. Just the listeners.
They're not Dungeons and Dragon nerds. Yeah.
Just the listeners, because your co-host definitely knows what you're talking about 150%.
In D&D, the biggest of bads, the kind of, you never fight it. It's always just kind of like it's a part of a bigger story. The one the Tarrasque, it's kind of like the biggest dragon, but it's like a landlocked dragon. Like it doesn't fly or anything. It's like a weird bull dragon thing. And it regenerates.
Terrorize.
Tarrasculus, terrorize. And what was it though? One of the campaigns that I've read or heard about that people actually used it in, instead of just fighting it to death, which is, it's supposed to be impossible, they took an evil relic that like couldn't be destroyed, kind of like Lord of the Rings kind of thing, right? Like it has to be brought to like Mount Doom or thrown off the edge of the world or launched into the sun or something improbable. And they destroyed this undestroyable evil relic by throwing it into the mouth, climbing it and throwing it into the mouth of the Tarrasque and then piecing out forever. That's what the Tarrasque is supposed to be. He's supposed to be like the Unicron of the of the Dungeons and Dragons world.
Okay, and he is represented by a lamp.
And so the one of my favorite jokes is that because no one's going to go and buy like the $400 or $500 like figurine for D&D, and even if you did, the miniatures they're too big compared to what you buy. So every DM that's like bringing in a giant or a Colossus or a Tarrasque, they just grab like a lamp and put it down and they go, there it is. What do you guys do? So I imagine if we ever encounter Unicron in this tabletop RPG, you're going to need what, a rugby ball? No, that's not big enough.
Well, I'm definitely not buying that HasLab War for Cybertron Unicron figure that's like $1,000.
Have we met we've mentioned that like 20 episodes ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I,
But
I, I can't remember, but
it's
if if
pretty
anyone
amazing.
if anyone gives a shit enough of a shit about Transformers to be listening to this show, they're probably at least passively familiar with the HasLab Unicron figure. But yeah,
It's
things like it's dope as fuck, but it's like a grand, and like it's just not. I no, not doing it. I can't. There's so
can't
much
even think about it. Can't
there's
even
so
think about it.
there's so much better things that I could spend like drop $1,000 like on like in one purchase. So many like more worthwhile things.
If we were like rich kids that like never went without, we're
Yeah,
never left to want. There we go. Then like whatever. But like, man, no.
yeah. I
This is
was
like, shall I pay rent or buy Unicron?
I was I was very like I had even put a deposit down on it and everything. The War for Cybertron Autobot Arc figure.
Right. I
200
remember being like, wow.
$250, and like I was like, you know what? Fucking YOLO, I'm gonna do it. But as like it got closer and closer to the release date, I'm like, it's $250. The thing is literally like 2 feet tall. Like, where the fuck am I gonna put it? Like, it's a lot of money. Like, that's like that's like a month's worth of groceries right there, or at least a couple of weeks worth of groceries.
Couple, yeah.
Like, fuck, no, I can't do it. And so I ended up canceling it and getting
Can't
my deposit
justify
back.
it.
No, I couldn't. Which I felt like was a moment of growth for me. I'm like,
One
okay.
hundo.
I'm like, okay, yeah, this is me actually like
Showing restraint.
being an adult to a certain extent.
And besides, think of how many actual like figurines that you can enjoy and pose and move around. Because the Ark is a ship and it's not a main character, and it's cool.
It does transform. It is a figure.
It is a figure, but like we don't know the Ark's personality. Come on. Right? Like
The thing has
it's
never
different.
transformed in anything outside of one episode of War for Cybertron Kingdom, and then it never comes up again in the show.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so like even that was too much for me. So like
Too much, man.
too much.
Too much Canadian dollars.
Later, and we're gonna get into talking about the episode pretty shortly here, but later, early on, Blackarchnia has a line where she's like, it seems like Optimus has been keeping too many secrets. And I actually laughed and said out loud while I was watching the episode earlier, too much secrecy.
Oh, it you know what? Watching the episode, I'm like, that feels a lot like Beast Wars. Like this is definitely the same character. I don't get the criticism that like Beast Machines Primal is very different than Beast Wars Primal. He did that shit in Beast Wars all the time, and we know because we fucking reviewed it.
Because we complained about it. There was, especially at the end of season 2, it's like he like tap dances around information and just like alludes to things without actually like sharing, like telling his troops what's up. And it's like, come on,
especially
man.
When to no detriment to anyone, it would be no detriment to anyone if he shared. So I'm like, why, dude?
Why, Optimus? Why?
It's because it's not just Megatron. Primal secretly loves being dramatic, and he likes like dramatic reveals. He wants to see everyone's like reaction all at once.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to admit, oh, it's because I want you guys to be surprised. What's his reasoning about the arc on Beast Wars? He's like, oh,
I can't remember. That was
something about like, oh, I couldn't, the information I don't know. Like if I had told you, then it could be possible that the Predacons could have gotten the information from you. Blah blah blah. Bullshit.
Listeners, that was like 20 episodes of the podcast ago, so
I can't remember that shit.
no, neither can I.
I'm sure there was a bullshit primal reason.
Yeah. Speaking of bullshit primal reasons, this is episode 59 of Too Much Energon, and this week we are talking about Beast Machines, episode 8, Revelations, Part 2, Descent. It originally aired on November 6th, 1999. The episode opens up with Primal doing some Primal bullshit. He seems to be having it seems like it's a dream or a vision quest, but he's doing some Donkey Kong country, like vine swinging, and the music that it is playing in this scene is kind of evocative of like the music that would play in like the forest levels in Donkey Kong. Which really, like, those games weren't that old at this point, so.
Oh, I guess not.
Yeah. Like, those Donkey Kong Country games were, like, the mid-90s. This is only 99.
I can't readily bring them up in my head, but I'll take your word for it. What's he's in the forest?
Maybe I'll throw some music at the end of this episode.
That would be rad. My partner, she really loves those games. Super loves those games.
Me too. Some of the best Super Nintendo, some of the best video games, period, ever made. Definitely like top 25. At least one of them is top 25.
I should go back and play through them, like all the way through them. Why not?
Yeah.
But what happens here? There's not a friend. There's no barrel of laughs. There's no collecting bananas.
There's no DK barrels. There's no
there's no getting your little buddy back.
There's no Donkey Kong face balloons to give you an extra life.
Are they like gold?
They're different colors. The red one gives you 1 life, the blue ones give you 2 lives, and the green ones give you 3 lives.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
All I remember is jumping on the 3D effect looked very cartoonic but real, almost like clay.
Well, the reason why, and this was starting to be kind of like it, I think they pioneered it. Rare, those games were made by Rare. I think they pioneered it, but it ended up being like common in the mid 90s on the later days of the Super Nintendo. And what they would do is they would render the characters in the background. They would create 3D models, so they wouldn't create sprites, which is how like all like 2D video games were made prior to this. So instead of like building just sprites, they would create 3D models and render those and then create sprites out of those.
That's pretty cool.
It was revolutionary for the time. And so that's why like those games look fantastic and they have such a unique look to them.
They do. Another one that I don't know if it's rare or not. Do you remember Clay Fighters?
Yeah, I remember Clay Fighters. I never played it much, but I think it used the same. I think it used the same technology.
It must have, yeah. That's why I was like, wait, was that rare too? Because it has that weird. This looks like real / cartoon / clay. And the first time I was blown away by it. I mean, they still look good, like now. Was when you fight that stupid beaver in the first boss.
Yeah.
He'd like brown.
Oh yeah.
And there's like a mountain of bananas in the background. Yeah. I guess the idea is that the beaver was stealing the apes and the monkeys' bananas.
Well,
or were they all agents of King K. Rool?
King K. Rool, yeah. They were working for him. That was the whole point of that game was King K. Rool. The first game anyway. King K. Rool stole Donkey Kong's banana stash.
Son of a bitch. He had what's coming to him.
It got more complicated as the series went on, but that was the basic plot of the first game. Anyway, so Gary Primal is swinging through the jungle and on some kind of vision quest. Sparks are flying around. He's like following one. and they all like a bunch of them like converge into what looks like a giant spark and like become part of it. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is supposed to be the Matrix.
Yeah, because they're all from it and they all go back to it.
Yeah.
But before he can like interact or find out what his vision quest is trying to reveal to him, he like gets grabbed by vines.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, and like the background, because so it's like tranquil jungle type background, and then when he gets grabbed, it like switches to Cybertron and goes all
Yeah,
mechanical and
dark
shit.
and blue. Even the vines, they start to turn uh, uh mechanical rather
Mechanical,
than
yeah, yeah.
biological. Yeah, they turn into like wires grabbing him. And then
So
we get a good old big old giant Megatron head laughing at him.
yeah, um, Gary Primal gets woken up. He's like screaming, and Blackarchnia. He gets woken up by Blackarchnia, and she's just all like, "Yo, what's with you?" And he gets all pissed off at them, being like, "No, I was so close to like connecting with the sparks," like, and they're like, "Dude, you were screaming bloody murder. Like we didn't know what was going on." Like, and Gary Primal is like, "No, I have to do this. You must leave me alone, no matter what you hear."
Get the fuck out of here. You bother me. Yeah, I liked that scene because when he's like thrashing in his sleep, all three of them are kind of on him.
Yeah,
Except everyone except Night Scream. And he kind of like tosses them off, like in a sleepwalking person lashing out. And then he gets mad at them, and it's like, dude, like you're like screaming and like thrashing, like they're trying to help you, bro.
yeah,
But yeah, they're like, okay, fine, like
yeah,
be a secluded monk. What do we care?
yeah. And Cheetor is just like, basically like, "Yeah, whatever. Well, let us know like when you need our help."
Yeah,
And
bye.
yeah, and this is they're walking away, and this is the bit where earlier a few minutes ago where I mentioned that Blackarachnia is basically like too much secrecy.
Yeah, and Primal's like, some journeys must be made alone. And I'm like, isn't that kind of like the opposite? Like, isn't the Beast Wars kind of feel that sometimes you need help and it's okay? Like that's why the Maximals win. It's because they
They're
help each other.
they're team players.
God damn it.
But I mean, to be fair, Gary Primal is going on he's going on vision quests trying to reach out to the sparks in the Matrix. What the fuck can they do to help with that, really?
Not wake him up, I guess. So
Yeah, like I get why they're like I get both of their perspectives in this
yeah,
situation.
it's an interesting. You wouldn't expect to see this on Transformers, right?
No.
No.
Um,
So what the heck's happening here?
so Cheetor is like, "Hey, so they so in the last episode, Blackarachnia was convinced that
Right.
Thrust was Silverbolt. She doesn't reveal to them that she thinks he's Silverbolt, but she did mention at the end of the last episode that he is definitely a Maximal and like an ally of theirs.
Ah, right.
And so
Yeah.
Cheetor is like Cheetor starts like putting things together, and he's like, "Oh well, Megatron wouldn't have Megatron wouldn't have taken just any Maximals and put them into the Vehicon Generals. He would have put Maximals that knew us and knew how we thought and knew how we acted."
That's an interesting take.
Yeah,
Is it? Yeah, that I don't know if he's right. I think it's more Megatron's more perverted than that. I think he just likes the idea of their friends fighting them personally.
Probably, yeah. He's sadistic, yeah.
He is. He in Beast Wars, he is a mustachioed villain who likes reading
Yes.
Shakespeare. In this, he is sadistic and he's robot Hitler.
Yeah, Space Hitler, as I have called him on
Space
previous
Hitler,
episodes.
right.
And he would definitely relish the irony of having like former Maximals, like say Silverbolt and Rhinox, be the ones hunting them down.
That's my yeah.
Even if none of them are aware of that, he knows it and he's loving it.
Oh, definitely. So
Yeah.
Cheetor is like, oh, maybe he chose people close to us so they can like tactically like have an advantage. And I'm like, no, man, you're giving him way too much credit. He's doing it because he's bad. He bad man.
It's still a sound.
It is.
It's a sound theory.
I'm digging
Cheetor.
Cheetor's
part. Yeah, no, I'm loving Cheetor in this show so far. So yeah, so he is like, okay, so if Megatron can turn our old pals into Vehicon Generals, why can't we change them back?
I'm so fucking hyped for that.
Yeah, so Cheetor is like, it's time we go on for the first time. It's time we go on the offense.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah.
I'm digging. I'm digging this.
I'm digging
Cheetor
this too.
Boss man, I fucking love it.
I'm and for any listeners out there who were really hoping that once we got into Beast Machines and would just be like, haha, this show sucks. It's not where we're at.
Hey,
and,
it has many episodes to suck ass. Right? But it's not. I don't know what to say.
Maybe season 2 like completely like shits the bed. I don't know. But season one's been great so far.
But yeah, people expected us to just like tear it down. Man, would we review the entire thing if it was just absolutely god awful? I'd go insane.
I mean,
but
I still would, like, regardless of what I thought of a show, if I committed to it. If I was like say for instance on our reboot podcast Alphanumeric,
yeah,
if we committed to doing every episode of the Guardian Code, even though I don't like that show, for the sake of completion, being a completionist, I still would do it.
I would 100. Yeah. I would too. Now that you talk about like, well, for the sake of like wrapping things up, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But would people enjoy listening to like what episode of these 8? Would people like listening to just 8 episodes in a row talking? Maybe, actually.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Hey, riff tracks are a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
so hey, if you're disappointed we're not ripping Beast Machines apart and you're listening to this, we have another show where we review Reboot, and keep your ears peeled.
Yeah. Also, to anyone who, like, if you're still listening to this, even though you don't like Beast Machines, but you're still listening to this because you like hearing us talk about these shows, for one, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
But 2, I would hope that our overall enthusiasm for Beast Machines for the past like several episodes, I hope at least somewhat it encourages someone to at least like maybe go back and watch a few episodes and like be like, okay, like go back and try and look at it from a fresh perspective, because I think there is a lot of really good stuff going on in this show.
I think there's a lot of really good things, and again, the show is not without faults. Holy hell, have we talked about how much we hate certain Maximals look, certain hairstyles of winged rodents, and certain robot forms of other rodents
with
but when you
wings on their ankles.
Oh right, his fucking robot form his
Fuck,
wings on this.
I hate Night Scream's robot form. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and it's like he throws that vampire mouth
Yeah.
thing.
Mouth
It's
taser.
creepy. It's creepy. And
His,
like
his tooth taser.
but the show's like going like I never watched Beast Machines until now. As anybody following us would know. And going in with no like context and no expectations, I am like shocked at how good it is. You need to be like, hey, you're not going to get any scenic jungle scenes, right? With cats like running through the jungle or snowy like mountaintop scenes like from Beast Wars, right?
Yeah.
The level design is bleak. Very much so. It's dark. It's everything's metal. It's bleak. Every episode you fight Vehicons, but there's so much character growth and development. Like, I think it's really brave that they gave Rattrap no weapons. He's just like a hacker boy on wheels.
And no legs, for that matter.
and no legs. And yeah, I'd go back and give it a shot. Obviously, you're going to compare it to like Beast Wars and everything, but just take it for what it is, and remember that this was when Matrix was hot, hacking was hot, .com bubbles were crashing.
Even Rattrap even makes a like command.com joke in this episode. And like techno music was really in the late 90s, and yeah. The show is very much a product, just like Beast Wars was a product of like the mid 90s. Like Beast Machines is a product of the late 90s.
Yeah, and if you go in being like, okay, like put on your glasses, right? Like put on your like leather or pleather like trench coat, and think of Primal as Morpheus and Cheetor as Neo, and you're gonna have a great time.
Anyway, speaking of having a good time.
Oh, right, their plan.
Yeah, what
split up.
Plan exactly?
They split up. So they chit chat. Cheetor says, "Okay, Night Scream. You're gonna go with Blackarchnia, and Rattrap's with me. Rattrap and I will go and tackle Tankor, and you guys, I don't know, go after Thurst or something."
And Blackarchnia is like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I can totally do that.
Oh no,
I
yeah,
got that. Yeah. It's worth mentioning that just prior to all of this, I just remembered that there was some bickering going on because Blackarchnia wanted to go after Thurst, and Cheetor is like, "No, we're going after Tankor," and Blackarchnia is like, "No, but I think we should go after Thurst."
Yeah.
Why are we going after Tankor? And like Cheetor mentions that Tankor is like the biggest, the slowest, and the dumbest. He'll be the easiest
to trick.
He'll be the easiest one to trap and subdue. But Blackarchnia is like, "But Cheetor," and he's like, "Listen, I'm in charge here, lady. This is what we're doing."
Yeah.
Laying down the law.
Don't make me smack you with the tail. But then I can't remember. If it's her socially manipulating, but it's just like, well, what if we provide a distraction of the other two and you get Tankor? And it's like, that actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, you two go create a distraction. We're going to go and isolate Tankor.
Yeah, and I don't know, you guys like go and deal with Thurst.
Blow some shit up and attract Thurst and
Thurst or whoever. Thurst or Jetstorm.
Jetstorm, yeah. Just keep the others off our back while we get the Tankor.
Yeah.
And indeed, Night Scream and Blackarchnia find Jetstorm and Thurst pretty quickly.
And Thurst, yeah, and Blackarchnia starts like talking to Thurst, and Thurst is all like, he basically thinks that she's just like trying to trick him and like trying to distract him.
There's internal conflict because like he's racing towards her, but he like stops on a dime when he could have just ran her over.
Yeah.
Right? He could just shoot her. So there's parts of him that are like, no, fuck this lady, but like he knows something else is there.
Yeah, he's not sure about what's going on.
Oh, indeed. Like when she's getting through to him, Night Scream, keep in mind, Blackarchnia has hid from the other Maximals that she thinks Thurst is Silverbolt.
Yeah.
Thinking he's helping when Blackarchnia is getting through to Thurst. Night Scream comes out of nowhere and he's like, don't worry, I'm here to help. And like tackles and like knocks Thurst to the ground. And so, of course, Thurst is like, oh, I knew I couldn't trust you.
Yeah, right after Blackarchnia was just like, no, it's not a trap, I swears.
I pinky swears it's not a trap. And the Night Scream's like, get fucked.
Haha, you walked right into our trap.
Night Scream's like, a good one, Blackarchnia. And it's just like, oh
man.
You please.
Dumb child. And Night Scream and Jetstorm have this like big,
they
like,
fly
chase.
off.
They fly off. They have this big chase sequence. Night Scream ends up taking him out with his like vampire bite or whatever eventually.
Yeah. At some point in this, yeah.
At some point, yeah.
But Cheetor, Rattrap, they are at a facility that looks like they make a lot of steel girders and pipes. But there's a whole bunch of other tank Vehicons, and they're like doing manual labor as robots seem to do on this planet.
Yeah, I like how
Tankor is like the foreman.
Yeah, and I like how he keeps saying, "Tank bots, go faster."
That's what a foreman does, right?
Tank bots, go faster.
He's harder.
Like, he's like getting progressively like more frustrated.
Yeah,
and it's like, dude, you're in control of them.
Yeah,
like
they're only going as fast as
you.
They have no autonomy.
Yeah. Yeah, you are directly controlled. They have no free will. You are directly controlling what they do, how they do it, and how quickly they do
it. So you know what? Now that you pointed that out, like I didn't think of that watching this. Now that you point that out, that is way more. That's a way funnier scene to me. Him just screaming at essentially himself.
Yeah,
for them to work faster.
I feel like the writers knew that too, and like this is just a testament to how dumb Tankor is.
Yeah, I'm jiving with it. And I was just talking about how brave it was that they gave Rattrap no weapons. Well, fuck me, because he throws a bomb at Tankor.
Well, he could have made one. It was a plot point in previous episodes that he doesn't have weapons. Like he doesn't have onboard weaponry like the rest of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, maybe he made this bomb, and he throws a little bomb at Tankor with his tail.
I mean, remember in Beast Wars, he straight up said that he was a demolitions expert.
That's why I liked that, and that is proven throughout the series. So it's cool that he still has his bombs.
Yeah, he still knows how to make explosives.
Yeah,
so
you're goddamn right. So I liked that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they're expecting, because they throw the bomb at Tankor, he falls over, he gets up and he goes, "Tankor, kill Maximals." And there's this camera shot where it zooms in on Cheetor and Rattrap's animal, their animal form mode. And they like get super surprised, and they comically whip around and stare at each other, and their mouths fly open.
Yeah, their mouths just go agape. Where is that in the video? I want to see that.
It's 802, and it makes a pretty good wallpaper. I'm gonna screenshot it myself. It's so like, what did they expect? To incapacitate Tankor in one shot?
I mean, yeah.
The Run the music. I'm saving that.
Yeah, that might be the show art for this episode. We'll
I
see.
love that.
We'll find out.
Heck
So
yeah. So there's a chase scene,
yeah, there's a
which is
chase
what they
scene.
want.
And
they wanted this.
so one thing I will say about the show is that the one, and to levy a criticism about the show, is that so many fucking chase scenes. Maximal's constantly running from Vehicons.
Yeah.
And they're not very interesting. Like, they kind of just fill time.
Yeah. It's the equivalent of peaceful flute music and walking through the jungle in in Beast Wars.
Not even, though, because like those scenes in Beast Wars usually had expository dialogue between the characters, or just dialogue that develops the characters.
It doesn't feel like there's a lot of filler in Beast Wars. I'll give it that. But every episode, there's, even if it's just 20 seconds, 15 seconds, it's very, it wraps around conflict.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas, like you said, there's lots of gunfights and conflict in Beast Wars, but there's
lots
no
of hiding
filler
behind rocks.
But there's no filler. So I'll give that one to Beast Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the character stuff that really makes Beast Machines great.
Very much.
But the action sequences are kind of just feel like they're filling time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In my opinion. I could have. Yeah, anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
So Blackarchnia and Thurst are like continuing their dialogue with one another. Like, Thurst is still suspicious of her, but she's like telling him like, oh, you're one of us, or like, you should be able to remember, or whatever. And he's like, you're telling me I was one of you? Why can't I remember?
Disgusting.
And then she does this thing that I didn't know she could do. She's like, here, let me give you more power to fight Megatron's control. And then she basically like cyber venoms him, but the cyber venom, like, instead of hurting him, juices him up.
I thought that she was giving her some of her like onboard ENERGON.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? Something. We've never seen them do anything like this.
No. So back with Cheetor and Rattrap dealing with the tank drones. It's just more like fighty bullshit. Cheetor transforms and like he gets the upper hand over the like oodles of tank drones by like he jumps on top of one of them and I think like spins around its turret and makes it shoot all the other ones.
That is a very I'm trying to think of that when the first time I saw that trope, where you get behind somebody or you jump on a vehicle or a turret or whatever and you like use it on their own troops. I can't think of an example, but it feels like that was a thing.
I feel like Rambo maybe did that.
Rambo must have done that, right?
That sounds like a Rambo thing.
It feels like a Rambo thing, yeah.
So so what's going on here this episode?
There's some hacking of the machine. Like there's a giant, what is Rattrap doing? He's hacking something with his tail. It seems to be a bridge, or he basically uses part of like what I thought were arches, right? But when he hacks into like part of the building, he can move the arch. I don't know what it is. It's not a crane or anything. And he uses it like a golf club to smack Tank. It's huge, by the way. He uses it like a golf club to smack Tankor. And it's anyone familiar with Pokemon, it's like a Team Rocket moment. Like literally, like Cheetor puts his hands like above his eyes as if to shield the sun. By the way, no sun here. And Cheetor, in a very, I thought it was funny, but it's usually not a Cheetor line. It's usually a Rattrap joke. He's like, "Oh, pop fly over to left field. He's going. He's going. He's gone."
Yeah. Or like maybe a Beast Wars Cheetor kind of line. Definitely
That's a
not
beast.
definitely not Beast Machines Cheetor, who is a lot more grounded and
Ooh,
serious business.
yeah, that's why I was like, huh. Yeah, it's a kid show. There's a little bit of wow, nice thighs, Cheetor. But they really liked animating Cheetor, by the way, like moving it and the silhouette. And again, you can't really describe it over audio,
Yeah.
but the show looks and moves great.
So
It's experimental, but
here's the scene that I alluded or that I mentioned earlier with Night Scream taking Jetstorm out with like his like vampire bite thing.
right. He transforms mid-air and turns around and
Yeah,
oh, I forgot he lands on his back.
yeah.
And
It
Jetstorm is like, hey.
it's a cool shot. It's kind of ruined by just how visually unpleasant Night Scream's robot form is.
No, it would have been cool if he like, I don't know, like shot like his nails or something. It's ruined by how visually unpleasant Night Scream's form is. I can't word it better than that. That's a good point. They could have fixed it by making him like shoot sonic waves out of his mouth that like act like an EMP, right?
Yeah.
That would have been less disturbing and would have
Well, and
he's done that before.
I was gonna say that is a move we've seen him do.
Yeah. But instead, somewhere along the line, someone was like, you know, it'd be sweet if he shot his teeth, including his gums, just out of his fucking mouth.
Like he's
like a taser.
like he's Gabe Logan from Siphon Filter, pressing the square button to shoot out the taser and tase a guy. And if you keep holding the square button, eventually the dude will start screaming and then just catch fire and die.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Do you remember that?
That's fucked up. Yeah.
That was the fucking funniest shit. Oh god. I loved Siphon Filter. Anyone who's been listening to the show knows that I love Metal Gear. And when Metal Gear Solid came out, there was a huge wave of like stealth action games.
Forgot about Siphon Filter. Wow.
In like very quickly too. Like Siphon Filter came out like a year after Metal Gear Solid. And there were a whole bunch of them. There was like Winback Covert Operations. There was one whose name I can never remember, but it was 2 discs and it was on a train. Obviously there was Splinter Cell. Like there was a massive amount, just a huge wave of Metal Gear games that weren't necessarily like ripping off Metal Gear Solid, but were clearly inspired by it. And hell, Gabe Logan in Siphon Filter is basically even dressed like Snake.
Yeah,
he's wearing
Siphon Filter is its own beast, isn't it? Like it was really good at the time. But let me tell you what's not great to go back and try. Siphon Filter.
Yeah,
it's back like half a decade ago, and
well, it was on the play it, or was it? Yeah, it was on the PlayStation Classic. I couldn't remember if it was on there out of the box or if I hacked it and put it on.
Maybe that's how I played it.
Yeah. It's yeah, anyway, but yeah, one of the things that you could do in that game was like he was armed with the character you played as was armed with the taser, and it was one of the like not a stun, like what most people call a taser is actually a stun gun, where you like
most people think of a taser like a cattle prod or a stun gun, where there's 2 metal points, and when you make contact, a
taser is actually like a handheld device that shoots 2 needles out with cables attached to them, at long range, and they pierce into a person's skin, and then the cables deliver an electrical current. That's what
And
a
with
taser.
both cables in, it creates a full current and sends the electrical current through the whole body, which is more effective than a stun gun, which just really fucking hurts up close.
Yeah. So, so you were armed with a taser by default in Siphon Filter. So at a distance, you could press like the square button. I think the attack button. You could press the square button to shoot out these like the taser needles, and it would, as soon as it made contact, it would start electrocuting the guy. But if you kept just holding down the square button, the guy would start like, and he's like shaking and trembling, and he would just start screaming. Eventually he'd be like, ah, and then if you kept holding down, like, he would eventually just stop screaming and catch fire and then just fall to the ground dead, still burning.
I see that we have two different memories of that. Christopher finds it very hilarious and funny, and I found it a little bit traumatizing. I was like, holy shit, I'm not doing that again.
Even when I went back to Siphon Filter a couple of years ago when I got my PlayStation Classic, which is now dead, rest in peace.
Rip in peace.
That was one of the first things I did, and I still fucking giggled my ass off.
Well, I liked the flamethrower, so I'm not one to speak. Arguably a similar death.
Speaking of speaking, Blackarchnia like juices up Thurst so he can remember things, and he actually starts to remember things. And the first thing that he remembers is Transmetal Blackarchnia standing in front of him. And so it's a memory back on planet Energon. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember this this lush, like, primitive planet, organic.
And I remember Cheetor and Rhinox and Primal. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, yeah, they were there too, but they don't look happy to see me. He specifically mentions that they don't look happy to see him. And she's like, Silverbolt, you have to remember. Take note of the fact that he says they don't look happy to see him.
Well, remember, I'm not going to say anything, but a few episodes ago, I had thought he was actually someone else. And I'm waiting to see who it ends up being.
Who did you think he was? I can't remember. I remember who he is. I'm not going to say who it is, but I remember who he is.
I thought his voice sounded more like
well, he is voiced by Jim Burns, the guy who voiced Inferno in Beast Wars.
Okay, well, maybe that's why I think he sounded like like Inferno.
Mm.
But what I had also said, I'm like, I swear to God, if it's Quick Strike, I'm gonna fucking crack skulls. Can you imagine how horrified Blackarchnia would be if they like pull him over and like give him his memories back and save him? And he's like, yeehaw, Ladybot.
What in tarnation, Sugarbot? What are you doing here?
Sugarbot, we're here together at last. I don't know what I'd do, man. I couldn't handle that.
Well, I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Okay.
But,
oh, fuck it. What is it? They're having their Vulcan mind meld and Jetstorm shows up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Vulcan mind meld. And they're not happy to see me. Wait a second.
Jetstorm shows up and interrupts
Tigerhawk?
them.
Is that you? Yeah, sorry, Jetstorm. I thought
Transmutate? Or is that you?
Can you imagine?
And he's like, friend?
Friend? Oh, what is, I don't know, she does some sort of like cyber venom fuckery to try to get Jetstorm. Doesn't work. And we cut to Rattrap like riding Tankor like he's at the OK Corral.
Yeah. And he does this whole R2D2 thing on Tankor, sticks his tail into like a port on his back and like starts hacking in.
Yep.
Don't
And
you think it's about time we got connected?
and so something weird happens throughout the rest of the episode as it switches to Thurst and Blackarchnia, switches to Jetstorm, Night Scream, switches off to Cheetor fighting off like tanks or whatever. I found it mildly annoying, but whenever, because he's getting glimpses of Tankor's memories, right?
Rattrap, yeah.
Whenever Rattrap discovers something, he lifts his visor up to talk to Cheetor and the viewer, and then scene transitions happen, and then he goes back in, discovers a bit more, opens his visor up, bullshits a little bit. Hey, wait a second. I think he was one of us. And he's like, Cheetor was like, so I was right. And then he goes back in, and I'm like, just wake him up.
Well, he that's what he's trying to do, and he's poking around in Tankor's head, and he's seeing. At first, he thinks he's seeing his own memories, and I
memories.
I actually really dig these scenes here. It starts off with inside the Autobot shuttle, the interior of the bridge of the Autobot shuttle, while it's in transwarp. And we actually see like all of the Transformers in their season 3 forms. Now, remember what I said. Now, I gotta eat some crow here. Little correction of something I said in the episode 51 of Too Much Energon. Because we talked about the fact that, hold up, why are they back in their like season 1 beast forms? And I'm paraphrasing myself here, but I remember saying, who knows? Is the show ever going to reveal it? Nope. I was wrong. It does. This show explains it.
That it explained it.
And I was
in a good way.
I pleasantly surprised that the show actually explains it. So Optimus is optimal Optimus, just as he was at the end of Beast Wars. Rattrap is Transmetal Rattrap. Cheetor is Transmetal 2 Cheetor. Like
just as they were, when they left planet Energon.
Yeah.
Well, the ongoing joke on Too Much Energon is like all of these answers and more won't be, all of these questions and more won't be answered on Too Much Energon. But this one, no, I am pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's
and it all started with what happens here. Megatron was on the outside of the shuttle.
Yeah, so the brass tacks of all this, because we could spend forever like recapping like each flashback, and then Rattrap like cutting away and then like commenting on it. So the gist
Megatron
of
escapes.
The gist of all of this is like they're in transwarp. It's a POV shot of them, like of someone. Rattrap thinks it's him on the bridge of the Autobot shuttle. They're in transwarp. They notice like they're dealing with turbulence, and they're like, "Oh, it's Megatron. He's trying to escape because he's like strapped. Dragantron is strapped to the outside of the Autobot shuttle, and indeed, he does end up escaping
by just ripping his restraints off."
Yeah, and one, it's like, I feel like there was something better they could have done. Like, couldn't they have like
I'm with you there.
Couldn't they have taken him offline and stored him and like
put him in stasis lock?
Put him in stasis lock and like store him in the hold underneath the armored flooring, like something.
That's what it's funny that you were that specific. That's exactly what I was thinking of. I'm like, can't they stasis lock this motherfucker, put him under the floorboards?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, and I understand they just want to show what happened quickly and like move on. Oh, here's what happened. He broke free. He fell while they were in transwarp.
Amazing he survived.
And what does that entail? He's somewhere else in space and time. Like the implications of that is scary.
Well, and indeed, it appears that because of that, Megatron arrived at Cybertron at a very different point in time than our heroes, because by the time they get there, the
Cybertron is shooting at them.
Cybertron is shooting at them already.
I wonder.
So
yeah.
more flashbacks, more flash hacks, if you will.
I mean, yeah, they're flash hacks.
Flash hacks. Some more flashbacks.
I'm loving these hacks, man.
More flash hacks happen, showing like Optimal Optimus, Cheetor, and Rattrap. It's Rattrap, right?
Yeah.
Because
because Rattrap comments, he's like, wait a minute, if these are my memories, how come I can see myself?
Yeah. And so like they're running from Vehicons, and Vehicons shoot these like canisters that unleash this like green gas, and the green gas like gets rid of all
them.
Reverts them, gets rid of all the transmetal shit, puts them back into their like season 1 beast modes.
Yeah.
So this is the start of the transformation lock virus.
So some sort of techno or organic virus, right?
Well, this isn't techno-organic. No, this is the like transformation lock virus that they talked about in the first episode that they were afflicted with. Because in the first episode, when we were first introduced to them, like it was season 1 Gorilla Man.
Yeah.
Fleeing from Vehicons.
Right. So not only did it revert them to their original form, it locked them in beast mode. Man, that sucks.
And then, so I actually read up about this a little bit.
Okay.
On the Transformers wiki, and it was just the wiki page for this episode, so it doesn't really spoil too much.
Yeah.
But the transformation lock virus, because the transmetals were transmetals, it reverted all. It didn't work as well as it did on all of the other Transformers. So it reverted them to their like season 1 like beast modes, but they were still alive. Like they were still alive, conscious, and functional, and were able to like move around and escape, but they were stuck in beast mode.
Oh,
other
so
characters like Silverbolt and Rhinox, and indeed like all of the like Transformers on Cybertron who weren't transmetals, they were just straight up paralyzed.
I was gonna say they were probably just paralyzed. Yeah. Interesting, because that's where my mind immediately went. Wait, if it locked them in beast mode and reverted them, then everybody that wasn't transmetal or optimal or whichever, how did that fuck them up? So I was thinking, well, wait a second. If that's the same thing that happened to everyone else, but they were still able to move around and fight, then how did it fuck up everyone else? So that's a logical piece of information.
Well, and it kind of makes sense too, because the transformation lock virus was developed by Megatron to deal with Cybertronians. It was designed. Right. It was designed to take out everyone on Cybertron. Like by this point, because who knows how long he's been on the planet, like putting this plan in motion. Like by this point, like he's probably like, oh, who knows when the fuck the Maximals are going to show, the Maximals that I dealt with on planet Energon. Who knows when they're going to show up?
And they've been altered sometimes multiple times in the case of Primal. And to Cheetor. The point where and and Cheetor, to the point where it would be like trying to make like medicine for dogs and cats. It doesn't work because they're different species.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that makes sense. I dig it.
So Rattrap on his final flash
Deep
hack.
dive. Yeah. Flash hack.
On his final flash hack, he uh sees a reflection in the memory of Tankor, and in the reflection is the face of Rhinox, and he figures out that Tankor is Rhinox.
Ooh. Excuse me, I almost sneezed. I hate that when you're trying to squelch a sneeze and you just make like a weird face. Yeah, so in the flashback, it's our buddy Rhinox.
And I already knew this, but like, man, it still kind of got me earlier. I was like, oh man, Rhinox. That sucks. And like I remembered that Rhinox was like Tankor was Rhinox. Like
I had a pretty suspicious feel.
well,
I didn't say it out loud, but I'm like, he's big.
Well,
Rhinox is big.
If listeners of the show might recall, back in I think it was February when we started talking about the Beast Wars comic book, Cal, you mentioned that you went to a local comic book store and the dude working there spoiled the Tankor Rhinox thing for you.
Yeah.
Just
completely out of context.
Unsolicited.
And I would not have guessed otherwise. And I was like, dude, what got me is I just told him I was going into it not having seen it.
And then just out of nowhere, he's like, man, it sucks what they did to Rhinox, him becoming Tankor, right?
That's literally.
It's like,
it sucks that like Rhinox became a Predacon. And I'm like, what social graces are you lacking? You're either
right?
You're either purposely being a dick, like you're just mean, or you didn't listen to me. It's one through one ear and out the other, or you're just one of those hyper nerds that needs to talk about something in like great detail, and he didn't value that I was enjoying not knowing all the details.
I think it was just social ineptitude. Honestly, that's I've met that guy, and like, I'm not trying to throw shade at him or anything like that, but like he's kind of an awkward guy. So I
wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud.
So
Pitter tatter, let's get at her.
So I think it was just a social ineptitude on his part.
Also, I do understand that some people, they don't give a shit about any spoilers for anything, and some people will like punch you if you spoil something that they're really looking forward to.
I've talked about this before. Generally, I'm a person who doesn't care about spoilers because, like, for me, it's about
the journey.
It's about the story and like how we get there. Yes, the journey. My enjoyment isn't necessarily derived by like needing to be surprised.
Right. Yeah, and some people are super hyper vigilant about it, and I'm always kind of like, come on, man, like, don't. But I'm gonna hold a gun to anybody that accidentally.
Well, and spoiler culture, this is a bit of a tangent here, but like spoiler culture is something that has been annoying me over the past couple of years because of how much it's ramping up. Like, it's getting to the point now where like people are considering like literally anything in a trailer a spoiler, and it's like come on. You remember movie trailers in the 70s and 80s? They would literally tell you the entire plot of the film. A voiceover guy would tell you the entire 90s. Plot of the film.
Now, Anissa and I just watched a trailer for an anime, right? And we looked at each other and we were like, I kind of feel like we just got a quick summary of the entire season.
Like, I think
we're good.
I think it was the trailer for RoboCop. It had just like a bunch of random shots of RoboCop doing things, and it's like
throughout the entire movie.
And it's like, and like there's a voiceover guy that's like, police officer Alex J. Murphy, beloved husband and family man, is gunned down by Clarence Bodiger. Then he is resurrected as RoboCop. Now, him and his partner must seek revenge for his death as he tries to remember and also deal with corruption in the villainous corporation that is controlling OCP, uh, or that is controlling Detroit, OCP. And also, Clarence Boddicker is working for the vice president of OCP. Like, the trailer just, like, gives you beat for beat. The voiceover guy
It
gives you
just
beat for
tells
beat.
you the
Tells you
plot of the movie.
the entire plot of the movie.
Yeah.
And like, I'm also fine with that, but like, people nowadays who like flip out even over like literally anything in a trailer, it's like, guys, can you imagine like
Can you imagine being alive in the 90s?
can you imagine like seeing movie trailers back then?
Is such a thing even possible?
You'd be like,
I didn't know that people were upset about trailers.
oh yeah.
Really? Oh,
Which
okay, then don't watch them. I don't know. Like when Game of Thrones comes out, I don't go on Facebook. But I mean, what the fuck am I missing on Facebook anyway? Right? So like when there's a season going on there and I haven't watched the newest episode, I avoid Facebook. But like
my thing with movies is, and like I said, like like things being spoiled for me, like it doesn't really matter. But like I try to be respectful of other people not being really into spoilers. But the way I've always looked at it is anything in the first act of a movie is fair game. Because that's like the first 20 or 25 minutes. That is the set, that is setting up the plot up to the inciting incident
setup
that actually like sets the plot going. So anything in the first act of a movie, I think
that's fair.
It is fair game.
Well, not only
like,
is it
especially when you're like trying to explain to someone
why they should go see a movie,
why they should go see it, and what the movie's even about. Like, you kind of need to talk about some things.
People have different levels of what is a spoiler, and somebody was like, "Okay, well, sell me on this book," and I was like, "Okay, let me think for a second." Well, they're like this, and like he needs to do this, and like this, and the person was like, "Oh, wait. Like, why would you tell me that second part?" And I was like, "Oh, that like, you know, like this happens or like whatever." Yeah, it kind of sounds like it'd be a surprise. Well, I don't know, man. Go and read the back of the fucking book. Don't. Sorry?
Oh, Christ. Anyway,
it was actually Ready Player One the first year it was out.
Oh, okay.
And I think this is definitely not a spoiler, but the guy was like, "Dude," it was like, "Oh, blah blah blah," and like the main character goes to public school by like going into like VR, like a school, and it's because
spoilers.
It's like parent.
It's like,
and it was because his parents are dead, and like he lives with this like aunt, and so he goes to like public school using like a shitty like free to play avatar.
yeah.
And something in that description was a spoiler, but I'm like, no. Like if I told you that Legolas was an elf in Lord of the Rings, would you like throw your hands up and be like, "Dude, I didn't know that they were friends with an elf"? Fuck off.
There very much are people like that nowadays.
Okay, well, I'm not that bad then. I just silently like nodded and I was like, "Oh, okay." The guy that let me know that Rhinox was a bad guy.
Did you know that there was this hype show on 25 years ago called Beast Wars? Yeah, you want to know what it's about? It's about two warring factions of Transformers, the descendants of the Autobots and Decepticons, who crash land on a planet and discover that there is an excess amount of energon that the radiation of which causes them to short out, and thus they take on beast modes. What the fuck? They turn into animals? Like, what? Dude, spoilers.
Yeah.
But the show is called Beast Wars.
And the trailer for the show has them in their animal forms. I don't know if anybody's that bad. Anyways, so I crawled across the table and I punched him right in the chin, knocked him out. No, I just I just like kind of like smiled and like nodded. And I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll talk to you later, man. Because before he starts talking about it more in depth, I quickly like was like, hey, cool, talk to you later, and left.
And after you like punched him across the counter, you were like, ha ha ha, Beast Wars once and for all.
Blah blah blah, Beast Wars once and for all. And he was like, why, man?
You're just like, too much energon.
And then I threw a Tide Pod across the room and ran out. Like, too much energon. Well, I mean, he would look for me.
Little too much energon today, I believe.
Well, I mean, that would be a guaranteed way he would try to look me up online.
Yeah, I mean,
if not to report me to the police.
Yeah. Anyway, let's wrap this episode up.
Yeah, it's Rhinox.
Yeah, it's Rhinox. It's our boy
Rhinox, baby.
While this is going on, there's like a back and forth. It's flipping back and forth between this and Jetstorm or Thurst and Blackarchnia and Jetstorm. So basically, like Jetstorm,
that is an important scene.
It's very important. So Jetstorm shows up and
this is fucked up, man.
He accuses Thurst of being a traitor. And Thurst like shoots Blackarchnia, and he's like, "Oh, I was just playing her to get her in close." And Jetstorm's like,
he screams at Thurst. He's like, "Then prove it!" And I'm like, "Whoa, dude!"
And he gives him a spark extraction cylinder.
Yeah, he's like, he's scary in this. He's like screaming at Thurst. Yeah. Do it, roller boy! Don't be a pussy. And I'm like, wow, yeah. Jetstorm's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. So,
and you could tell Thurst is kind of like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about this.
Do I do it? Do I?
This is kind of evil, right? Am I this evil?
Am I this bad of a guy? But
like, I'm a bad guy, but I'm not. Am I this bad of a guy?
He seems like he's going to do it, but he gets interrupted because who is it? Is it Night Scream? Or does Blackarchnia like cyber web?
Night Scream kind of interrupts and he steals the device, the spark extractor. And then beats the shit out of the other two. No, Jetstorm has the spark extractor at one point. What?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because like I knew
that
it
falls out of Thrust's hands when Night Scream is fighting him. Yeah, Jet Scream yells, "Adios, amiga," and then laughs and extracts her spark.
Yeah, Jetstorm, is the one who extracts her spark.
Like he fucking does it.
Blackarchnia is dead, guys. And we even see her.
He pulls it out of her chest. She collapses limp, not moving. Yeah. And he's laughing, holding up her spark in this machine. And Night Scream screams no. He screams into the night.
No,
he lives up to his name. No. And I'm like, out of everyone here, you've known Blackarchnia for like, what, a week?
But I don't know, them titties.
Them spider titties. Yeah. They don't lie, man.
And
them hips don't lie.
And that's the end of the episode. End of part 2.
So
next time on Beast Machines.
Revelations Part 3. Apocalypse.
I always liked those little like next time on Beast Wars teasers.
Yeah.
For the multi-part episodes. They didn't do them in Beast Wars after season 1, so I'm kind of glad that they're back for Beast Machines.
Mhm. They're just little snippets.
Yeah.
Spoilers of the next episode, if you will.
Well, kind of, but and this is something I discovered very early on in Beast Wars. Most of it's kind of completely out of context, and like the context
Yeah.
is different, ends up being like different in the episode. So
Yeah, they show scenes to make it exciting, but they don't tell you the plot.
yeah,
It's just like random shots of the episode.
yeah. All right,
So, a lot happened in this one.
a lot happened in this one. Do
Like,
you wanna get into the rating?
uh, yeah. What do you think? You go first. Before we get. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, here on Too Much Energon, whatever we're reviewing, we have a Too Much Energon scale of approval
Or disapproval?
or
depending.
disapproval. It's 3-point scale. Not enough Energon. A sufficient amount of Energon to too much Energon. It's basically bad. Okay, good. Christopher Siege, what is episode 8, Revelations Part 2, Descent?
I feel like I'm becoming kind of a broken record with the ratings of Beast Machines, but it's getting a too much energon from me, bro.
It's getting a too much Energon.
It's getting a too much energon because I really like Cheetor's plan. I love this new like take charge version of Cheetor. I like that Cheetor is actually like wanting to take the fight to
Fuck yeah.
to Megatron and the Vehicons. I admire like the lengths they're going to like try and without even knowing that the Vehicon Generals are their friends, they just know that their Sparks are former Maximals, so they're like we have to try and help them. I really appreciate that. I like the
It's
I do like the
humanizing. Is that the right word?
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I actually do like the stuff between Blackarchnia and Thurst, even though it's probably not going to go the way she wants it to. The
Sugar bud. I will punch out my monitor if it's quick strike. Sorry, you were saying
the hilarious bit of Tankor yelling at the Vehicon drones that he's controlling to go faster.
Yeah.
And like I said, the writers undoubtedly were aware of that when they wrote that.
When I watched this, I was just like, oh, okay, he's being dumb, yelling at like mindless things. But I forgot that the generals were put in place so that Megatron didn't overheat from trying to control hundreds of Vehicons all the time. So they are under their direct control. And when you pointed that out, I'm like, wait, that's even dumber than it is because he's essentially screaming at himself.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
I love the flash hacks.
I love the flash hacks, man. I fucking love all the hacking on these shows.
The fact that we actually like the show is actually starting to fill in the blanks of like what happened between them leaving planet Energon to them like stuck in beast mode fleeing from Vehicons at the beginning of the show.
Yes.
The fact that the show is actually like starting to explain why they were in their season 1 alt modes. Yeah, this is a great episode. I really dig it. And that cliffhanger, man.
The
Blackarchnia dead.
Like her spark ripped out while Jetstorm is like maniacally laughing. And even Thurst is kind of like like, dude, what the fuck? Like even Thurst is like kind of not okay with that. And that's fucked up. And just so the episode gives you answers, but it gives you more to speculate. It gives you to speculate, hold up, then who's Thurst, right? And it lets you speculate, well, wait a second. how long has Megatron been here? Is he like tens of thousands of years old and he's lost all traces of goodness? And he's just been alone and angry and seeping with like I like it. This is actually one of the better episodes of Beast Machines. I am giving it too much energon as well. It's no we already talked about it. There's no point in summarizing it. It's good.
Yeah,
all the reasons you said.
For every these past couple of episodes actually have been answering quite a few questions in the show, and for every question they're answering, they're raising new ones, and sometimes,
but not in a way that's
sometimes that can be a bad thing.
Yeah,
sometimes that can be a bad thing. In this way, it's actually a good thing, I think, because it's creating a mystery.
Yes,
and it's creating answers. It's creating questions that I want answers to. And I'm actually like having fun, like thinking.
I'm having fun. Yeah.
The implications of so.
And again, not the biggest of deals. And I gave Beast Wars some points earlier for having not as much filler as Beast Machines. To give this some points, Beast Wars likes to be like, hey, here's this thing. You never see it again and we'll never tell you why.
Yeah.
Or it brings up a new conundrum and then never explores it again. And you have to be okay with letting like a dozen things go to enjoy Beast Wars. And this is doing the opposite. It's answering things and expanding on the mysteries, like you said. And I'm digging it. I like it.
All right. I think that probably about does it for episode 59 of Too Much Energon. Best way to support the show, go to patreon.com/lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. Starting at the $5 and up tier, you get hours every week of bonus preamble audio of us kind of shooting the shit about, whatever. This week, I talked at length about a job interview that I have coming up. So
job interview. We talk about Pterosaur like a lot.
Beast Wars Masterpiece figures. It was like an hour or so of preamble audio. So go check that out. That's at the $5 and up tier. We also have a $10 tier and a $25 tier. The $10 tier gets you a weekly news program and a monthly show where we talk about the ongoing Beast Wars comic book.
Which is good.
Yeah,
we're digging it.
Getting there.
Too much Galavar.
Too much Galavar. Social media, facebook.com/toomuchenergon or facebook.com/lasercomb if you want to follow any and all the shows that I or both of us are a part of. That is the central hub of it. On Twitter, you can follow the show at toomuchenergon, or you can follow me at lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. And Cal, you are Neo_Cal with a K, correct?
Yes, sir.
Another way to support the show, whatever platform you're listening to this on, give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a 5-star rating. Anything helps us out with discoverability. We'll be back next week with episode 60 of Too Much Energon, where we will be talking about Revelations Part 3, Apocalypse, the third and final part. Final part for the audio listeners. Cal zoomed in on his face. The third and final part of this 3-part series of episodes. So I'm excited to be talking about that. And that being said, I think we're going to get out of here. I've been one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
I'm your other host, NeoCal.
And until next week,
I am transformed.
I too am transformed.
Beast Machine.